Hey, it's Monday, April 10th, bringing you a Lake of the Ozarks fishing report and also a big bass recommendations, kind of what I'm seeing out there, what I think it's going to take for a big bass. This is, I would say, the biggest tournament, the biggest fishing weekend of the year is this weekend for the Anglers in Action Big Bash. One fish will win you $100,000, along with just the multiple other paybacks throughout each weigh-in period. For both days. So really good chance of winning some money, getting your money back, or actually making some money. So it's probably, in my opinion, one of the neatest tournaments of the year. It just takes one fish. Anybody can catch the one fish. To be honest, to catch a fish to win this, it's kind of an odd thing just to catch one big fish like that. When like if we're out there tournament fishing, we're looking for 4 pounders, 4 to 5 pounders. You catch 5 of them, you do really well. But this particular tournament, you're looking for one fish. You're not worried about a limit. You're not worried about keepers. You're looking for, I'm going to say fish 4 pounds and above to get you a check. And then I'm going to say, probably a little lower than some people, but I'm going to say 695 to 698 is going to win the big bass. We'll see. The lake conditions are shaping up. The water's really warmed up. Good stable weather the rest of the week. The water level has come up, creeped up a little bit. It's 655.90 right now, so that's about we're gonna say 3.5 foot low, or from normal pool, but it has creeped up some, and the water temperature has really rose in the last week. From hovering around 50 to today. I was out. It was 56 to 58 degrees. So we're getting real close. A lot of fish have moved shallow. The crappie have definitely moved. They've moved. From where we've been catching just a week or two ago to today. It took a while to figure them out because they had moved. We had been working on some big schools, and they're gone. They're up on the bank. They're on shallow docks. They're on shallow brush. We were catching crappie in 2 foot of water today. So, and I'm not so sure. I didn't maybe see a couple beds today. Looked like they were starting to, bright spots in the water. In them rocks. So, it's getting close. I'm sure some of the river arms, way up the Osage, up the Niagara, I know, they're spawning up there. Up the end of the Gravois, up the Glaze. I know they're spawning up there. That water's been upper 50s for a while. So we're bumping around 60, 62, way up these river arms. And, we just had a full moon. I guess it was about 4 or 5 days ago. So that usually brings a lot of fish in. And then now, we're past that full moon. So now them fish are going to move on up and commit to shallow, working. Making beds, getting close to it, doing roaming, just getting prepared for it. But they are still feeding real heavy right now. We're not into the spawn, so there's not going to be any fish caught on beds, but there'll be definitely fish caught shallow around spawning areas. As far as the bass. It's a total different tournament. Like I said, if I was fishing, I would just be concentrating on big fish baits. The ones that notoriously just catch big fish. You may not catch a lot, but when you do catch one on it, it's a big one. Obviously several baits with this water temp where it's at. Topwater baits. Definitely, topwater can come into play right now. This is the time of year. All these fish are full of eggs. You catch one on topwater, it's probably going to be a good one. So obviously, I'm gonna reach for the Crocker Gator Head Knocker Buzzbait, the old black and gold. You know, this one you can see it's kind of tarnished up, wore out. Not wore out, wore in. You know, it's starting to squeal real good, makes a good sound, running real true. Got my trailer on it. I got it rigged up on 50-pound braid. And I'm going to throw this thing, you know, I'm going to throw it shallow around any lay down, any shallow brush. When I say shallow brush, 4 foot, say 5 foot or less. Shallow brush, if that brush is sticking up out of the water, throw that buzz bait past it, throw it 6, 7, 8, 10 times. Just keep bringing it over that brush, different angles, different directions, different speeds. You know, when it gets to the brush, try to nick a branch, hit a branch or something, and speed it up a little bit, a little change of pace, a little change of sound. You know, and a lot of times these big females will lay in that shallow brush and just hang out there. But if you pester them enough, they're going to get aggravated and they're going to come up and hit that big buzz bait. So the buzz bait is a definite player. While we're talking about topwater, a spook, just a one-knock spook, maybe bone, or maybe another one, you know, something a little more shad color. There's another one here that looks like a, let me bring all my baits out here at the same time. This one here, I like it a lot. It's kind of got a green back, kind of bluegill, bass, shad color, you know, same spook, just a little bit different color, you know. The bone's probably my favorite. You know, I always replace these hooks. Put good, sharp, either mustad or Gamakatsu hooks on the back of them. You know, like this one still has some of the old ones on it. Big difference in the hooks could mean the difference in getting that fish in, because they are full of energy right now, and they're going to fight and jump. But that spook, throw it the exact same place, throw it in the very backs. Little spawning pockets. If you got just a little spawning pocket, it might be, you know, 30 yards deep, you know, maybe, I don't know, 30 yards wide, you know, and pea gravel in the back. Throw these spooks, buzz baits and stuff to the very back and work it off of the bank about 4 foot. Let it sit there, just sit still, you know, maybe 30 seconds even, 15, 30 seconds, and then start working it again, work it out. Work it around that shallow brush, over the top of that brush. Let it sit on top of that brush. You know, work it up to it. Sit there real still. Work it again. You know, you got to entice these big fish sometimes to come up. But when they hit these topwaters this time of year, those are the ones you want. You know, they're at least going to be money fish. You know, it's going to take a special fish to win the bass. You know, but these baits will get you some checks anyway. So that's the topwater. Right after topwater, I'd reach for a spinnerbait, a big spinnerbait of some sort. This one here I've still got rigged up. This is a white chartreuse, 3/4 ounce with a big copper Colorado blade, really big thumper. You know, in that dark water up in these river arms, you're going to want something that makes a lot of a thump, you know, a lot of vibration. And that's what that big Colorado does. Same deal. Round shallow brush, shallow laydowns. When I say laydowns, a laydown that's, you know, going from the bank and then it kind of disappears into the water, and you can kind of tell by the size of it. That probably comes out in the water maybe 6, 8, 10 foot, and throw that spinnerbait right up to the bank, and the first couple casts just below the surface. And then kind of let it kind of go down just a little bit and come right along the top of that lay down. Work each side of it, work to where it gets to where some branches might be. Kind of let that thing flutter down. If you get a branch that's up high, bring it up pretty fast up over that branch and then kill it and let it fall down. A lot of times that'll get them, trigger them, come out. So, you know, big spinnerbait, it's a big fish bait, especially this time of year. You know, a couple different styles. This is a Colorado and a willow. This is more that mouse color, like down in that clear water, say, oh, I don't know, we'll say Tantera all the way to Bagnell Dam. Mainly from the toll bridge down to the dam, maybe up the Gravois little way. That water's pretty clear. A big spinnerbait right now, a lot of flash, big bait. They're eating big stuff right now. these big females, these fish you're wanting to catch for this tournament. They're looking for big meals, you know. So those, you know, if you're going to fish down, I would fish bluff ends, bluff drops, main lake points of any sort. You know, ones where the channel runs in close to it, ones that maybe a longer slope, you know, kind of gravelly, slight slope to it, you know. These big females, they'll get up on them flats a lot of times and kind of roam, and they'll even bed out on some of them main lake flats. But you know, a lot of your bluegill are up there roaming them flats. The shad are up there a lot. The crawfish are out on these flats, you know, on them rocks and stuff. So, you know, putting your bait up there where all the food is going to get you a big bite. So, you know, like I said, you know, and just kind of vary that retrieve too. You know, just below the surface, working halfway down through the water column, and don't be afraid to throw it up to the bank and just kind of creep it along the contour all the way out, you know, out 20 foot deep. Just reel that thing down slow. Looks like a big shad that some of these big females are feeding on. You know, these females now, I would say the majority of them, you know, I know some of them are up, some of them are cruising shallow, but I would say 80% of them are still hanging out. They're staging, you know, and all that means is they're just hanging out, waiting to go in. You know, the males are up there, they're feeding, they're making the beds, they're getting things ready. And them big females, they're just hanging out there, and they'll just suspend out there off of main lake points, bluff points, stuff like that. You know, channel banks even, just a channel bank. You know, they'll just suspend out there. So, you know, just go down bank and throw to the bank and work them big spinner baits. I would not be surprised if this would not be one on a big spinner bait. I'd probably it'd be pretty close to say that it would be one on a spinner bait. The percentage, not that it will, but a pretty high percentage. This would be, the bass would be one on a spinnerbait, either down lake, main lake points, or up alongside a big laydown. You know, it's been one before like that. You know, so spinnerbait's high on my list. A spook's high on my list. And then now we got to start talking about some bottom baits. You know, it's the last several years, I'm not totally sure of all the results, but spinnerbaits, jigs, and swamp bugs. Swamp bugs won it already twice, so we know that's a big player. You know, both swamp bugs, the smaller swamp bug, it was won one year up there around Proctor on the small swamp bug, green pumpkin candy, rigged on a 1/4 or 3/8 ounce shaky football head. And same deal, just work it really slow around shallow brush, shallow boat docks, corners, lay downs, bigger rocks, anywhere these big fish might be up in there, you know, looking around that. The swamp bug is just so effective because it's got so many, you know, little legs and a tail. It looks natural, it acts natural. It's one of the baits that these fish just don't really get used to it. You know, like some of these other baits, they kind of start keening in. You know, the swamp bug's one that it's just proven it'll catch them, and it'll catch them all year, especially springtime. So, you know, if I'm not throwing something real big, I'm throwing a swamp bug. Obviously, I've catch them on it, and it's been proven it's already won the bass at least 2 times. Other baits, you know, well, of course, a jig. You gotta have a jig on. Start flipping this jig. This is a 3/8 ounce zapper, just with a ring crawl. Pretty simple setup. I'm gonna flip that in around shallow docks. When I say shallow docks, these docks that are sitting over pea gravel. So if you see pea gravel, a spawning bank, that dock's got, I don't know, 6 foot of water on it. Flip to them holes and be ready, because them big females will suspend up high up against that foam. There's been several years, several tournaments. A friend of mine, Gene Lineberry, and me fished a tournament. It was about 1st of April sometimes. That water had just gotten into the 50s, and these big females were laying just underneath that foam. This has been many years ago, but it's worked every year since then. About this time, you flip underneath them shallow docks, and as this 3/8, as it's slowly falling, them fish will grab it on the fall and they'll swim off. And those are big females. So, something very subtle like that can definitely be a player, especially if it's calm out, if it's sunny out. Once a lot of boats have been through, or it's getting a lot of pressure, I'm sure people are going to be down pre-fishing this week. And just something subtle like that. And a jig's another bait that the fish don't get keen to it. It'll always work. It's worked for years and years, and it's going to continue to work because of its just natural presentation. On a jig, this time of year, I like to spread the weed guards out. I really like to spread the weed guard out, so it still gives me some, protection them from getting snagged up, but it'll collapse really easy for these fish that are suspended, because a lot of times they'll just grab that bait as it's falling, and you don't feel a real hard bite. You just see that line move, or the line just goes slack. So, it's pretty important to kind of take a little bit of time and set that bait up just right. Make sure your trailer's on there nice and straight and flat, so that bait falls real natural like a crawfish does. And like I said, I flare that weed guard up. It kind of imitates, crawls sticking up. Like I've said before, it kind of feels natural to them. I think it's got a lot of little movement up there. When they have it in their mouth, they might hang on to it a little bit longer. I throw that on 15-pound test fluorocarbon for that jig this time of year for that finesse jig. So that's a jig. I'll throw a half-ounce zapper, but I'll throw it with a little more action bait, like one of these Strike King Rage Tails. This is the Rage Tail, but this is the Menace, is what's on the back of this. Green pumpkin purple is probably my go-to color. It's got a little gold in it. It's got a little purple in it. It's just real natural. It flashes like a bluegill, flashes like a shad, and of course it's supposed to imitate a crawfish. So you've got everything going on with it. It's a real natural bait. This half ounce, I'm probably gonna flip it back underneath these docks, catwalks, underneath these shallow catwalks over pea gravel where they hook to the dock. That's a big player right now. You got to flip. You got to take time and flip that bait back up underneath there. Let it sink to the bottom. If they don't grab it on the way down, just let it lay there for a little bit. That fish knows it's there. It's in their area, especially if they're setting up, getting ready for a bed in that area. They're really protective. And believe me, you flip a jig in there and it goes down, hits that dirt on the bottom and makes a little dirt or makes a little sound. Them bass know it's there. They might shoot right over and grab it, but a lot of times they'll just kind of creep up. They might creep a little ways up to it and get right to it and just kind of watch it. And as soon as you hop it or move it, that's when they'll grab it. So just kind of be patient sometimes. It's a little different than, say, fall jig fishing. A lot of times this time of year, you flip it in there and you just let it sit there, and then you just kind of creep it along, hop it a little bit, drag it, just kind of keep it in that area, that strike zone, a long time, and let one of the big girls come up and pick it up. A jig's a real good choice, obviously for the bass. One, on a jig, you don't lose very many fish. It's just a real good hookup ratio, and it's a good hookup landing ratio. The jig, spinnerbait, both probably the best hookup ratio and getting the fish in the boat. So that's another thing to be worried about. Stick baits can still definitely catch them, but these big females are full of energy right now. You got to hook that fish, and then you got to get them in too. So I'm going with spinnerbait or jig, something to increase my odds of hooking that fish and getting them in it. So that's those. And then the other bait that I definitely cannot overlook and stress, if it's sunny, calm, you're not getting bit on anything else, any moving baits, it's a Carolina rig. The Carolina rig, it's already won. It's won the bass once on the Swamp Bug Senior. You know, a big bulky bait, like I was saying. So just a green pumpkin, maybe chartreuse that tail up a little bit. Kind of look like a bluegill or something that might be creeping around a bed, or you know, a lot of bluegill have moved up and working really shallow, and you know, the bass will feed on them. So like this Swamp Bug Senior is a real good choice. Obviously, it's got that big tail on there. It moves a lot of water. It's got all them tentacles. As you're dragging that bait along, this thing kind of rises up a little bit and then comes back down. Just another one of the baits that looks real, acts real, tastes real, you know, and it's just a big fish bait. You know, other baits I throw on it like this. This is a full-size brush hog by Zoom. That's a really good bait. The Zoom Lizard is a good bait to throw on the Carolina rig. On the Carolina rig, I'm just rigging it. This time of year, I put a 3/4 ounce. I'll throw a brass weight on there, a couple beads, glass beads, then my swivel, and then my leader. Obviously, I determine it by my water clarity. This is kind of a standard 3-foot, you know, leader here. This works pretty good. You can see the concept. You know, that goes to the bottom. That's bouncing, making noise, and then you got this bait back here, just kind of coming along. Kind of real natural, falls real slow, looks natural, and you know, the bass will come up and grab that. You know, I'll put 17-pound test fluorocarbon on my main line, and then this is 12-pound monofilament on the back of it. You know, that way it'll kind of help float it up a little bit, keep it up a little bit of you know, lighter line, maybe not detect it so much. But that's my setup on it, and I'm going to throw that the exact same kind of areas of all these other baits, but I'm going to drag this bait a little more stage and bank, like a mixture of, you know, bigger rock like softball, baseball, even basketball size, with a pea gravel mix, or where that transition is, where you get that rock to pea gravel, or that rock where you get ledge, rock, pea gravel mix, and throw it right to the bank and just drag that thing out. Drag it all the way out, you know, 15, 16 foot of water. If you get any little drops, or them, you got the kind of a flat pea gravel coming out, and then it rolls off into some deeper water. That's a real good spot for them big females to hang. And the thing about Carolina rig is, you know, you're covering a lot of water. You can feel everything because you're dragging that big heavy weight. You can feel it. And when something grabs it, they usually hit it pretty hard, or it loads up on you. This natural bait, they don't normally pick it up and spit it out very often. They'll hang on to it for a long time. Gives you a lot of time to get ready, reel down, and set that hook on them. You know, so you cover a lot of water. You feel all the bites. It's natural. It's just a very, very productive bait technique this time of year. So, you know, that's a Carolina rig. You can't pass that up. When things slow down, get that Carolina rig out and throw that thing, and just keep dragging it. Another place for big fish this time of year are your bluff pockets. You know, you got bluff shelves on each side coming in, and breaks down the rock, and then you got a little section of pea gravel in the very back. That's really good for big fish this time of year, especially with the Carolina rig. You can throw it to the pea gravel in the back and just drag that right down the center of that gut. And a lot of times, when big females will hang out there, if you know, for whatever reason they're relating more to the bottom, you know, Carolina rig will really catch them this time of year. So, you know, that's it. That's all I'm gonna throw. I'm gonna try to keep it simple if I was fishing the bass. So, you know, you got your top waters. Obviously, that's going to be your early morning, low light conditions. Unless you're up in that muddy water, I wouldn't be afraid to throw it all day long. You know, but your buzz baits, your spooks, and then your spinner baits. You know, and bottom baits, I'm throwing a jig and a Carolina rig, either with the swamp bugs, or the lizards, or the brush hog. Those three baits, um, and just vary your retrieve, vary your leader. Maybe switch it up. If you're in dirty water, you only put you about 18-inch leader on there. If you're in that real clear stuff, you might go up to a 4-foot leader. I've seen that make a big difference sometimes. So, man, all I tell you is be really careful out there this week. And there's a lot of boats. Um, the ramps, for the most part, are in pretty good shape now that water's creeped back up. I'm not sure if Pahitzi's back open yet or not. It's probably right on the border of being ready with the water coming up. But you're just going to have patience out there. There's a lot of boats, a lot of traffic. It's going to be sunny, so that means some of the big boats are going to be out there. They were out last week already a little bit. Seen a couple out today, so everyone's anxious to get out. So just kind of keep your eyes open. You see a big boat across the lake. He's left a big wake somewhere. But man, all I can say is just be courteous out there. You're going to see people. They're going to be people on the same bank. You want to fish, they're going to be coming towards you. They're going to be passing you. Obviously, try not to deliberately cut people off. But this particular tournament, there's going to be a lot of people around each other. You're going to see a lot of people. So just don't worry about it. Some of these baits, if you're fishing shallow, that will affect the shallow bite. If you're fishing main lake stuff, laydowns, fish will be not around the laydown, and 30 minutes later they're on it. Depending on sun or what's going on. So if someone fishes a laydown, 15 minutes later you go up there and throw that spinnerbait, you catch fish. Same thing with a main lake point. These fish are moving in and out all day long. They're raising up, they're going down, they're feeding, they're not feeding. So a lot of that stuff, and these are all new fish on main lake coming in. So basically what I'm getting at is it can see baits. There can be boats go by it all day long, and it's all timing on when you get a fish triggered, to come up and feed. So, that being said, keep obviously not a bad idea to keep your life jackets on all day right now. You got these suspended ones, keep them on. I'm sure it's a rule when you're running, but like I said before, when there's a lot of boats like this, people can put in anywhere on the lake. So that means any particular cove or any particular creek, they can be running in and out at any time of day. So when you're running down the lake, maybe don't crowd the bank. So when you come up to a creek or you come up to a point and someone else is coming out, that you've got some reaction time. If you're out further in the water, you're going to see them quicker. You can go to the right, you can go to the left. If you're right on the bank and they come out, you're limited to where you can go to avoid hitting somebody. So maybe not might not be the day or tournament to run wide open all around. Just kind of back it off, take it easy, spend time fishing, and not so much running. So one thing I will tell you is I promise you, there anywhere on this lake, I don't care what arm it is, you can win the bass. It's been won way up in the 70-mile marker. It's been won down by the dam. It's been won up way up the Niagara by the 54 bridge. It's been won mid-lake. It's been won everywhere around this lake. We're only talking one fish, and they live everywhere. So keep that in mind, as far as you can put in anywhere and potentially catch this big fish. So any questions, get on MidwestBassTournaments.com, Anglers in Action. Look at all the rules. They'll have the live feed so you can watch the live weigh-in, what fish are being brought in, to kind of see if you got a fish that's going to make it or not. I would suspect, I'm going to say an upper 3-pounder is probably going to get you a check in this. Maybe not the first couple payout, but throughout the day, I would say it's going to creep down a little bit. Fours, mid 4s to mid 5s, definitely going to get you a check. A 6-pounder is going to get you way up there. and an upper 6 is good chance of taking home $100,000. So, man, just not a whole lot else I can tell you other than just be careful. I'm sure Gary over here at Sport World, he'll be open Saturday. If you have any issues, this week, get over to Gary. He's notorious for getting people back on the water, doing whatever he's got to do to get you back on the water. You got other places on this side of the lake. I know there's a marina right up here in Lori, Advantage Marine, Mercury dealer. They'll do whatever they can. I know Boat Works over there in Osage Beach. They'll be ready. They're expecting there's 2,000 boats. Somebody's going to have issues. Somebody's going to have problems. There's a prop place right there in Osage Beach, Cool Breeze. I don't know if he can fix your prop right away, but he usually has other props on hand to help you out. Jeff up here in Greenview at what's that place called? Reliable Marine. He's troll motor. Minn Kota. And he works on all the troll motors. He's got a lot of parts on hand, and he can get you back on the water if it's a troll motor issue. So, other than that, Fitz Fishing, Bryant's, Osage Outdoors, Jack Sporting Goods, everyone's stocked up with all the baits. They're all stocked up with crocodile baits. That crocodile has something about the bass. It usually has fish that are up there in the top. So run by, see everyone at Fitz Fishing or Bryant's or Osage Outdoors. Everyone in there is more than willing to help you, give you suggestions on what to use, what to throw, and maybe where at. Wayne's not shy about telling you to go try this bank, try this log, try this dock. So if you can get Wayne cornered, ask him where you should fish, and he'll probably give you a spot. So other than that, man, everybody, good luck, be safe out there, and I'll be watching results and see what happens. So we're getting really busy with guiding. Crappie's still going to be good for a couple more weeks. They're starting to move. They're starting to come into the bank. They'll be spawning. So it's still going to be good for a while, a little bit. The bass is really picking up. A lot of fish are shallow. The bite's pretty good. A lot of males, some females. It's only going to get better from here on out. So if Denise or I can help you on a guide trip, upcoming trip, whether it be, a couple weeks or a couple months, give either one of us a call, and man, we'll be glad to set up a trip and design it around what you're wanting to do. A lot of our trips aren't just going out catching fish. A lot of our trips are educational trips, learning about throwing different baits, setting up electronics, reading contour lines, just kind of setting up patterns for the lake. So after you fish with us, then you can go out and duplicate it on your own. So, whatever we can do to help you, that's what we're here for. So other than that, like I said, be careful, and we'll talk to you again.